Okay, so just as a reminder, we are working on this USB converter, this adapter that takes a USB type A connector and makes it into a USB type C connector and make sure that you can transfer 3.2 gigabit, 3.2 USB 3.2 protocol that runs up to 20 gigabits per second. Okay. There are deceptively a large number of components on this board. So here we've gotten through our capacitors, the diodes, and to get through the rest of the components, we need to just keep going through the process and check marking our completed results. So in this video, I'll show you how to add more components to this. I'll start with the resistors because they are simpler to work with and we can get this process going. So starting with R4 for the resistor, you would pull in your manufacturer part number, open Altium Designer, and
getting a new product to market goes way beyond just the schematic and PCB design. Design collaboration between industrial, mechanical and electronics domains and with your customers, and the ability to securely share key design elements with key stakeholders, no matter where they are, makes development, design review and release to manufacturing as smooth as silk. Anywhere the right design information is under the right fingertips, you get success. Connect with anyone and work from anywhere with Altium Designer and Altium 365.
and we are looking for specific resistors. Now we are in the components library, or we're looking in all of our libraries on the Altium 365 workspace. And I see here that this component might be the manufacturer part number we are looking for. I'm gonna drag that over here, double click on the component and see what properties this has. Very interesting. So this is a 1.6 kilo ohm resistor, 1.6K, yeah. 5%, 1/10 of watt, 0402. Yeah. So this resistor has the specs we need and is already in our library. What I'll do is delete that and go back to my checklist and then check mark that. What I'd like to do is rename this part if it needs renaming. So let's go into the Altium, and then here we've got components, the name, resistor, so on and so forth. This doesn't not follow typical naming convention. So I'm going to right click and edit this. Now this is 63 milliwatts, whereas the manufacturer part number we pulled is for 1/10 of a watt. So that's 100 milliwatts. Interesting. I would sooner go with the exact manufacturer part number, to be quite honest. Even though it's close, I'm going to change my mind here and go with the manufacturer part number. Okay, so we get the manufacturer part number. It pulls up something that's similar, but it's not exactly the part. Let's see. And we have one that does have the model, the exact model and everything. So I would right click and save this to my workspace, then go with resistors, right? I can just type in resistors, click OK. And I want to add some information from the cloud, maybe the height of this device. So you would scroll over here, package height. This is good. So we'll go ahead, click OK. And now we're going to give it that name. So here's the name for the resistor. Replace the manufacturer part number that's in that name with that. We have part choices for this. You can add additional choices. You can add a spice simulation file, but we're not going to do any of that extra stuff. We're just going to go ahead, close that and save this to server as a newly released component, newly released resistor. Okay. You'll find it saving and releasing the component to the cloud. Now it's in there. So we go back to components and paste this name of this resistor. It pulls up, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Okay, that's been check marked, so we can continue with the other resistors. Here you follow the same process. Okay, there's a manufacturer part number. I would sooner just choose manufacturer part search, because again, even if something's close, if it's not exact, then I don't want it. Save to my workspace. Package height, click OK. Okay, we have our resistor here, and I will put in the name. Right click, close this, save changes, and save to server. New resistor. All right, so it is releasing the component to my workspace, and I'm pretty sure it's saved. So let's keep going. I'm gonna run through these as quickly as I can. You know, having Altium 365 is a godsend as a rookie or as a starting hardware engineer, because you won't have to manually specify each of these resistors, especially for like discrete components, resistors, capacitors, like going all through an existing database. If it's at all possible to get 365, then this is the workflow. I mean, it's a no-brainer. That's been released, so we'll check mark that. Then we have next resistor. To go through it quickly, I'm hitting enter or control enter depending on the menu. Let's just double check that that was the one. 070RL. That's correct. Okay, next resistor. I love how they're adding more and more of these, more and more of the resistors to the workspace, more and more components to the workspace, and octopart. Next thing you know, the majority of the components you need, if not all of them, are in the Altium 365 workspace. Okay, so one of the best things, one of the most valuable things is speed when it comes to productivity and all that stuff. So the more you can focus on one task or one set of tasks, well, no, just one task, and the more efficiently you can do it, I mean, that is just the cat's pajamas. So using little shortcuts like hitting your keyboard instead of clicking and everything, hitting enter to get through to the next step, every little fraction of a second counts. Okay, we have our resistor pulled up. I know this is going to get saved, so I'll just check mark it in advance. Then we'll close it. Yes, new. See, I didn't even say new resistor because the code of the name code is in there already. So it's kind of understood. Manufacturer part number here got saved. Okay, we add this to the workspace. So yeah, if I haven't mentioned this already, or if you might have missed it, then the majority of what you're going to do as an entry-level hardware engineer, printed circuit board designer, is creating components. Creating components from scratch is a pain, and you will see that show up as an opportunity in this course. But if you can do the shortcut, like I'm taking, then by all means do that. Okay, so here we've got this fixed resistor. I can save this to my workspace, but let me show you what options we've got here. It adds this information. Let's see what things we need to add to this component to make it a whole component. It only has the schematic symbol, so we may need to add a footprint. What you can do is choose the wizard, IPC compliant wizard, to do like a chip, right? With just two pins. And then you could say with the body length, width, ranges, chip resistor. You can generate the step model preview. Now, at this point, we need to get some information from the manufacturer on this part. What are the exact dimensions and so forth and so on. So what we can do is copy this, go to octopart.com. Actually, we can even look at the CAD models here and look at that. I can just download it. Okay, let's get down to the download phase here, and then we'll run the script setup. We'll do setup, run the script, and then what happens here. Okay, so here's the downloaded file. I would then open the folder that this is located in and put it in my project directory. So I just cut and pasted it here, and then I would extract it to its own folder. Then use Altium Designer to run the script. So I don't even need this IPC calculator. This is an interesting thing we have here. What I'll do is probably save this. So manufacturer part number, save it to server, and then I will import the footprint because this has a lot of useful information for the component. So what I can do is now go run a script on that. Okay, here's the script. Click OK. Find the text file within that script folder, and then you can start the import. Now, if I pull up the PCB library and click on any of these, then it shows the footprint. Okay. What I'd like to do is use the Altium 365 component and then modify them. I'm going to copy the manufacturer name again, manufacturer part number, paste it, have it show up in my all, edit this part. I'm going to be looking for this RC0201. So let's go ahead and get an existing footprint. Okay, what I'll do is I'll import this library. So right click, import library. And there are advanced options for importing I imported 3 logs, so I want it to be YAG R0201. Now I can go to an existing footprint. Okay, so to add a footprint, we want to click this drop down and choose existing. And notice how, remember when we right clicked and added it to the library? What happens is it gets added to the model library. So you want to go to models, footprints, and then you can pick, choose, and refuse from all your options here. Ours got imported as YAG. So starting with YAG. Here we go. So these are all in draft mode, and I'll select all of them. So now we've added these 3 kinds of footprints. Whichever one will be the default, we'll go with that. That would be this. And notice how you can set default for these other 2, but you cannot for this because it's already the default. Now that information's been added, we can adjust the name to fit it. Right click close and then we'll save. Yeah, we'll release anyway. Okay, next we can do the rest of those resistors here. Then fine, let's go ahead and do it. I can always go to manufacturer part search. Now I can still save this part to my workspace even though it has like no models. As you saw me demonstrate earlier, you can save something to your workspace so you can have that information and then just add in the schematic and PCB footprint data on your own. To properly do that, well, here's the generic resistor. The generic resistor schematic symbol. If I were to go to, okay, we're gonna not save that. All right, so I searched for the wrong thing. I already have this added to my library. This is not in stock, this new component, this new resistor. It must be very special. I'm going to add it anyway, but maybe look for alternates. Oh, and it pulled it in there. Wow. So I'll switch to the name. Copy paste the name in there, close this, save it. Okay, so the switch resistor has been added to all of my components. I'll go to component, see how that's there with the name. Now I can go ahead and edit this. Then go into Octopart to find this manufacturer part number. Look at the CAD model options, download from Ultra Librarian, and there you go. So I'll hit download now. I gotta get the 3D CAD model, and here's the file. I pasted in this folder, and hopefully by now you know the drill. You would take this through the Altium Designer script tool, or let it run the script from here. And this should be sufficient. Or I could look through these specific things and then maybe consider that as an option, an alternate. Okay, so we have our component, and if I were to attempt editing it, it has the information. So I'm going to check mark that and repeat the same process with another component. Luckily, we have the component model inside the workspaces already, so we just need to add the information we want as usual. Okay, looking good. Copy the name. Okay, so now we can close this component, new resistor with the specs on there. Okay, so I will check mark this off the list. We have 2 more resistors to add. We are coming up to the home stretch. Make sure you're a manufacturer part search, then right click, save to my workspace, resistors. Okay, package height, click OK. I'm going to replace the name with something that's easier to work with. Close this and it is check marked to save to server. Okay, so the connection to the server got reset. Let's see if this saved it. Nope, it didn't. So we might want to do is attempt the save to server again. Now when I look for it in my components library, it's there. This new component, I will discard local changes, check mark what we just added, and then this looks to be the last resistor. So notice this doesn't have the schematic symbol or foot. That's fine. Altium 365 makes this very easy to work. Right, so if we look in the specifications here, the mounting type is 01005. Let's see if we have an existing PCB footprint for that model, right? And if it does exist within your ecosystem, then you can find it and pull it. But to be on the safe side, let's go ahead and use the manufacturer part number. Get it from someplace like Octopart. Now, do I need to manually go to Octopart each time? No, I could just click on here and it will take me there direct. Then you can look for CAD models, see what pulls up, and we can go to Snap EDA. Let's go to Snap EDA. I want the footprint and the 3D model, whereas the schematic symbol, I kind of want that to be consistent with the other ones I have in my library. So let me show you how this is done. We'll pull the schematic symbol from our existing schematic symbols for resistors. We'll pull the PCB footprint from snap EDA. So that footprint got in here. It's an integrated library, so I am curious to see what will happen. So if I were to go to File, Open this integrated library and import this, notice how the library importer overlays itself. That's the resistor. This will be put inside of the resistor category. It has the models ERJXG and then RES_ERJ, manufacturer part number. That can work. And so I see how I chose the validate button to see if this schematic symbol can be converted to, it cannot be converted to unit of type resistance. See, yeah, so that's why we do the validation here. So what I'll do is exclude this from the importer and then import. We can open the log and see what it did get to import. And we'll be looking for RES_ERJ in the footprints. Let's go here. We'll import. We'll add an existing footprint, which should be in our imported footprints now. Okay, I sorted by name. Okay, so we don't have a successful import here on our footprint. Okay, I was looking for ERJ, but it should be RES_ERJ, excuse me. So let's go to existing. Sometimes you have to kind of resort the name and then drag it down in order to have it pull up your, like what you're looking for. Okay, but so let's say we want an existing footprint that we use for a 01005 or something like that. You can do that. I still recommend going with a manufacturer's option though, right? So I would first of all try to open this PCB library, see what's in here. We have YAG R0201 YAG. This is for an older one though. So I'm going to go ahead and close this project and instead go to File, Open the ERJ. Let's extract the integrated library and see what's actually in here. This RES_ERJ, I took a look at it. I will definitely import that. This resistor, a schematic symbol for the resistor, I don't particularly like it. So I'll just go with this ERJ and right click and choose to import this library. Import it. Okay. Open log, created item ID list says this is in components, models, footprints, already created, use existing, target identity, PCC078, or you can go with RES_ERJ. Close this. So now what I can do is click on existing, go into my models footprints folder. The revision ID, I could set it to, whatever it was here. Now what's interesting is I can't click on another tab behind this. So I just have to memorize that or go by name. So make sure you go into your gear wheel and choose load all pages. And I uncheck show only latest just to make it simple for me. Sort by name and look for the RES_ERJ. Right, so I'll select this, click OK. Now that has been added. The next step is to add the 3D model. So download the 3D model, been downloaded, and this is the ERJXGN. So I can just go straight into Altium, click to modify my global library PCB footprint, choose to place 3D body, go to find my step model, it's attached to my cursor, I place it, right click, and that ends the operation. Now what I would do is go to my 3D model here. This black part of the resistor is going to be on the top, and I want to align this face. So I'll go to Tools, 3D body placement, align face with board. I need to click on the 3D model first of all, and then I choose the face. Now let's go into 2D mode with the number 2 key. I can try to place this 3D model, and that looks good. I'll hit the 2 key again and go back into 2D mode. Then now keep in mind, this is not just local, this is in the 365 environment. Okay, revision status is still draft, right? And let's go back inside here and see. Let's save everything, close it. Copy the name from the spreadsheet, paste it in Altium, right click, close, and save this when prompted. Save to server. Now if I were to go to my panels components and look for this part in my Altium 365 library, see the part is visible. You see that, the 3D model on the PCB footprint. Check mark that. Okay, we are finally done with resistors.